Hello all, good morning, good afternoon and good evening. On behalf of Rainbow Secure team and event sponsors, Step Up Skills, Akashwani and Cyber edX, and our community partners BBWIC, a warm welcome to you all and thank you for joining us here at Rainbow Secure Cyber Symposium 2022. As you are well aware that the event is scheduled on every Saturday of October, that is 1st, 8th, 15th, 22, 29th. Are we ready, folks, for an hour of exciting learning with topics ranging from application security, identity, data security, ransomware, and data privacy? Last year, thanks to you all, we had a great success with 60 plus industry speakers and technology visionaries gracing our event and help us spread the knowledge and cyber awareness. This year, there will be speaker sessions and panel discussions on current cyber threats, cyber news, best practices, and innovations. Everything that can help businesses do business security. Businesses are currently doing next year planning for efficient money spending on capital and operational expenses that increase business agility, continuity, and provides growth. We encourage small and medium businesses to bring in their questions, queries, and interact with our experts by pre-scheduling free one-on-one meetings around the event. I once again thank you all for joining us here. Now, I would like to take this opportunity of welcoming our president, Nehal Mehta. Nehal is a visionary and her passion for cybersecurity has inspired her to bring about innovative world-class security solutions which are robust and user-friendly. Nehal, she has graduated with BS degree in maths, stats, and economics, BCA in computer science, masters, MPA, masters in performing arts, diploma in Indian classical dance. Her versatility, simplicity, and creativity has enabled Rainbow Secure great laurels and accolades, and a lot more in store for the future. With a huge round of applause, I welcome Nehal to commence Rainbow Secure Cyber Symposium 2022.
Thank you, Shashi.
Nehal,
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I hope you all having a wonderful Saturday. I'm Nehal Mehta, President and co-founder of Rainbow Secure. Warm welcome to our honorable panelists and amazing audience. It's pleasure to have you here at Rainbow Secure Cyber Symposium 2022. Thank you for making Rainbow Secure Cyber Symposium 2021 a huge success. Your support and encouragement has motivated us to bring about various initiative for developing innovative security products for IM, single sign-on, and multi-layer login solution to help business conduct their business safely and securely. Now, I would request Sashi to please present the agenda for the panel talk and introduce our honorable panelist.
thanks, Nehal. So, agenda for today's panel talk is we'll be discussing on major cyber incidents and its impact on business and organizations. We will be also discussing about learning how to protect business from account takeover attacks. I would take this opportunity of welcoming our esteemed panelist for today, Ranbir Bhutani. Ranbir has over 18 years of progressively responsible work experience in information technology, cybersecurity field for several organizations. This ranges from governance, risk compliance, security operation, threat intelligence, and insider threats. He's a founder of Cyberculture LLC. I would request Ranbir sir to speak a few lines about himself.
Thank you, Sasha. I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. Actually, it's probably over 20 years now, but thank you for that. Definitely, I've been in industry for a long time, and as the industry continues to progress, the culture of cybersecurity is ever changing, and even more so than ever now. And really, from having all of this experience from my background led me to this point. I definitely my goal is to help companies and organizations understand the safety and security of their data. So naturally, just giving you a little bit back about my background and really where cybersecurity is going. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranveer. Now, I would like to take the opportunity of welcoming our next esteemed panelist for today, Dhaval Shah. Dhaval is an experienced technologist with a demonstrated history of working in diverse verticals like finance, healthcare, and IT. He is a CEO, cybersecurity advisor, security researcher, and inventor of GeoACL and Rainbow Secure technologies that has won many patents and awards. I would request Dhaval sir to speak a few lines about himself.
Good morning, everyone. Myself, Davalsa, CEO and co-founder of Rainbow Secure. I have always fascinated about different things that works. Like science has always fascinated me. How does man can go on moon? What did he do? How can fish survive in water and we can't? Like they always live there, right? Same way, I had been always amazed to see how we can talk from one city person in one city can talk to person in other city. How come that carries our voice all the way? So we in olden days we had the telephone wire cable, and that was a technology, so that intrigued me, and it drew me to the field of science and technology. And now with that passion I carried over into the technology, the modern technology of the day, the IT and computers. So last 2 decades I have spent designing and developing solutions, and also trying to find the solutions for pressing problems for the society. And that ended up in me working with Nehal to develop and create something called security credentials based, colorful credentials based technology, where people can authenticate and log in with ease, and they can secure their network and data. So again, this is what I have been doing so far, living my life as a passionate person who loves technology, loves science, and always want to do something new. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhaval. So, uh, with your kind request, may I start the panel talk for the today? So, thank you, Ranveer. So, thank you, Dhaval, sir, for introducing yourself. So,
You're welcome.
although it's a very basic question, so businesses still keep security in the pipeline for allocating budget. Still, the question being very naive, I would like to request you to please answer why is cybersecurity important for business? Ranveer, sir.
Oh yeah, sure, no problem. Thank you, Sashi. Yeah, no, cybersecurity is very, very important actually. Even going back 20 or 30 years ago, antivirus software wasn't just your only layer of protection from a technology stack standpoint. Everybody thought that okay, because you have that, you're secure. No, that's not the case. It's a lot bigger than that now. Especially the protection of your data and assets, and the cyber hackers these days. They are collaborating. They're working together. Why not companies on the other end trying to protect and defend against those type of attacks? And because at the end of the day, they're all friends, they're all buddies, they probably all hang out together. They sell they compromise organizations data, breach, they cause the breach, steal their data. Now they're selling their data on dark web, like sensitive data like social security numbers, financial credit card numbers, address, all personal information that's considered confidential, depending on the organization, right? Or even big dollar contracts. So naturally, it goes back to say, okay, well, organizations always tend to put cybersecurity sort of as its last option, or if they get breached, they get very reactionary. So definitely, cybersecurity is very important in that aspect. That your data is priceless. Once your data is compromised, I mean, it can cause an impact alone. It can cost a lot of money, and the next actually company can lose a lot of business, or they could put them out of business. And you've seen some big ones that no longer exist. One that had probably over 300,000 customers. So,
Dhaval sir, thank you,
Yeah.
Ranveer, for answering the question. Dhaval sir, I would like to request you to kindly answer the question.
Yes. So I would say that with each new innovation, with each new work methodology, there comes also issues that stem from the human greed and want to do take shortcuts, right? So people have been hacking systems, maybe not for profit motive, but sometimes just for fun, sometimes just to even disrupt their competitors, sometimes to disrupt other nations economy, or make inconvenience for their people. So I would say that as a business you might be actually either serving other businesses, or you might be in a business serving direct customers. Your business sustainability, your business ongoing operations are key to what other people rely on them, right? Every business has some purpose. Now, if your business is not secure, you can say the data wise, if it's not secure from the integrity and reliability perspective, right? Then that's gonna have cascading effects on not only people lose trust on them, but it will have cascading effects in other businesses. Just imagine if your email provider goes out of business, or not even out of business, if email provider just have some little interruption, say for 1 hour nobody can access their emails, it would disrupt lot many lives, lot many businesses that relies on them. Even if the smallest providers, imagine a ticket, system at MTA in New York, right? If that gets disrupted, people just can't go into the subway. People can't, go in and do the normal transportation. It's just gonna disrupt the entire, life cycle of a city. So whether you are, in a business that's called infrastructure, or you are in a business that is just providing a basic retail commerce operations, like you are just an e-commerce website, and but many people might be relying on you to get critical component or supplies for their own business, or other needs. So it's always uh, business founders and business key executives who are responsible for the operations overall. This should always make sure that business is running and it's safe from different types of threats. It might be natural threats like hurricane. It might be something else like a grid failure. Or in modern world, it can be your technology systems that has to be keep running with integrity in mind. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you, Dhaval, sir. Thank you for emphasizing the need of like business, be it IT or any other infrastructure or healthcare. Like any system is dependent on IT today, and most importantly, cybersecurity. Like data has to be secured at any cost. I would request you to please suggest, like, if I'm a small or medium business, am I still vulnerable to cyber attacks? Like, why would anybody be interested in my data? So, Ranveer, sir.
Yeah, no, that's another great question. Cyber hackers, organized cyber criminals, they don't care, regardless of the size of your organization, whether you're a one employee company to maybe 10 or 15 employees, regardless, their goal and mission in what they do, and their job as being hackers, is to steal the data, right, or compromise the data. And it's an interesting question you asked that, Sashi, because you know regardless of attacks or not, right? I mean, the easiest way for even a small business to get attacked is by phishing. Like
Yes.
millions of emails that dark web, they sell them in bundles or packages, and usually they run programs to try to get folks to think, okay, maybe it's an email from your HR saying, hey, we're going to change your direct deposit, and then you click on the link, it redirects you, or they ask for your information, and all of a sudden now they're getting your paycheck. I mean, it's as easy as that. And as scary or uncomfortable that sounds, it happens all day long. And really, employees fall for it because they're like, oh, okay, well, it looks legitimate. They don't check where it's coming from. And yeah, no, definitely, that's my opinion on that.
Thank you, Ranveer, sir. That was really a great way to answer the question. Dhaval, sir, what would be your insights on this?
Yes, I would support the point raised by Ranveer. You know, all the employees at the end are human beings. The social engineering aspect of it's a very very big factor that has played role in the recent attacks. Whether you go all the way back in the Twitter attack, where they call for they're thinking the call is from their support team, and they gave all the access to the hackers, and all the account premium accounts from presidents to the you know uh, sports personalities, they got hacked, and so that we all know. Also, recent attacks that unfolded with, for example, the Cisco attack, where the employees, Google ID credentials were, stolen, and those credentials, what hacker did after that, they ran a series of, login attempts, and at one point, the employee got frustrated and he allowed the MFA prompt he was getting, and that's how hacker got in actually. So human factor does play a key role in how and when your system will stay secure or get breached. You see the other examples, like sometimes IT operations are like so much get bogged down with different work and configurations. They themselves they don't intend, but they themselves forget to secure, they follow the same rules that they ask the end users to do. So we had in one case had the attack where the other countries hackers disrupted the pipelines of the petroleum pipeline, the colonial pipeline attack it called. So they forgot to just turn off the inactive account, and if they had got turned off, then hacker would not have been able to leverage that account, which actually unfortunately did not even had MFA anymore. So here the point is that human beings are essential part of the business, and at the same time, human beings should be empowered along with proper awareness training. They should be empowered with proper options and tools that keeps them secure. So I think I would say that yes, employees, your partners, your customers are an important part of the digital transformation journey, and we have to take them along.
In my I was coming to my next question. Thank you for already speaking about it. So, looking at like recent cyber attacks, so how would you categorize recent cyber attacks, and what would you suggest to SMBs to take preventive actions or steps to prevent these kind of attacks on them? So, Ranveer, sir.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sashi. No, that's another great question. I mean, everybody knows Cisco, Uber, Optus. I mean, these are big names. Okta, I can go on, but you get the point. Anybody's hackable, right? And it's interesting because a lot of organizations, especially startups, they sometimes they're never looking at cybersecurity, right? Or how to protect their data initially. They wait until the breach happens and then they get reactionary, expecting a team of experts to come in, cyber advisors or experts to come in and resolve the problem. Damage is done, right? So why not implement a preventative or be proactive in implementing policies, procedures, tech stack from the tech stack to understanding, where the gaps and weaknesses. Because at the end of the day, what's cybersecurity? Risk management, right? What's the level of risk is an organization willing to accept, based on particular threats? Now, circling back to the big names and them being attacked, right? They're like, oh, we have the best cyber team and we have the best operations. We don't need anybody else to give us advice. Okay, well, and then all of a sudden they sort of replace the cyber team because they think hiring the next set of folks is gonna resolve the problem. At the end of the day, what are we solving? We're trying to help them understand the safety and security of their data, right? So naturally, at the top, because they're not very technical, let's say, for example, C-level executives, board advisors, even when double times, and he's probably going to add his 2 cents. But the point is that you know you got to look at the bigger picture, right? And organizations need to understand the importance of integrating or implementing a cybersecurity program or security awareness and education. Educate your employees, right? And have them understand about the threats that are going on, or even just don't click on an email or phishing link. So these things can be easily avoided. So,
Thank you, Ranveer. So, for emphasizing the need of educating like the employees to be more aware, and also like thank you for emphasizing on like startups to take proactive actions in like in case of cybersecurity instead of like taking reactive measures.
yeah.
Double, so what would be your insights on this?
Yeah, so I would say that startups and small businesses, right? They should at least take a step back and work with the whoever is the providing maintaining their IT systems. Sit down with them, just like they sit down with their other infrastructure needs. Like say they always make sure that the internet is gonna be up and running. They're gonna make sure always that the power supply. If you are in a business, say where you need always a cooling system up and running, if you are in a business where you need your payments to get go through, right, then this is another critical part of the business where you have to make sure that your IT systems are up and running. If your IT systems are disrupted, your customers may not be able to book appointments with you. Customers may not be able to reach you, or even you cannot say work with your partners when things get disrupted. So main emphasis would be to take along your workforce by educating them, by also empowering them with tools and solutions that would make them efficient and productive. Like say Rainbow Secure has always been on a mission to provide a comprehensive security assistance by inventing new solutions and technologies that makes the business life easier, that empowers them in their digital journey, whether it's securing their cloud applications, whether it's giving them a tool to encrypt data, or whether it's promoting the partner solutions and services that gonna help them, because not every SMB or startup has in-house security people, right? And they have to work with someone like say Ranveer or some other partner services that will give them the essential component in place. Just like you are not having say CPA in-house just because you need accounting needs, you outsource your CPA work, your tax section work with the expert outside. Same thing here. You need to work with the technology people, with the security people, and get them on board. They will take care of your company's overall cyber resilience. And here, Rainbow Secure can always help the businesses by being a say a point of contact to leverage the other parts of your digital ecosystem, whether it's the solutions, whether it's services, everything, keeping in mind that your focus should be to run your business and not getting stressed out. Hey, what would happen if my employee is sharing his credentials with someone? Hey, what would happen if my employee is not having secure enough credentials, he's not listening to me, and he's always like this, and so you cannot always, everyone has a different cognitive capabilities, and everyone is trying to do his best to as per his role in the business, right? Your employee is not an IT expert. Your employee is a normal human being with the skills and qualities that he has. That's why you hired him to do the work. So, empowering the digital user of today, whether he's working from home, whether he's working in the office, like hybrid model, you have to empower them with multi-layered security. You have to empower them with some, AI monitoring and analytic tools that will automatically help you in doing course correction. So that proactive approach, the proactive defense, and solutions like single sign-on from Rainbow Secure that will help them reduce the need to get frustrated when they work for us. You know, your employee, if tell them, hey, you are joining today. Here are your 5 different credentials you have to use. One each to log into the different sites, and then when he starts working just a month or two, now he has to he sometimes forgets those credentials. Sometimes he may just be asked to change them. So it's always the ongoing frustration your employees have. An average employee spends about 8 to 12 hours struggling with his account issues. If you consider 30-day period, like your employee always is with the help desk, whether, hey, by the way, I forgot this, I don't even have access that or not, right? It's better you take steps to give them a tools, to give them a secure login and data security options that he would take advantage of by incorporating through his human abilities. So I would stress here that your employees and your partners, right? They are here for you to make succeed, and it's your job now that to help them to help you. So I would say that yes, we are here ready to help every business to help their employees and partners to succeed. That's it.
Thank you, Dhaval, sir. For human factor is the weakest link in cybersecurity, but Rainbow Secure is working towards it to make the life easier for the employees. Thank you so much. Uh, with this, I would like to know. So, what are your daily activities or your planning strategies to keep your project's data secure from such kind of attacks? Ranveer, sir.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. As far as the preventative measures from attacks, it's bigger than that, right? The discovery of small business, whether small, medium, or large businesses, is understanding where their weaknesses are as far as from their, let's say, network architecture down to their governance, risk compliance, like an incident response plan, or like a disaster recovery, for example, or even a system security plan, right? So these sort of all go hand in hand. Really, from my standpoint, especially, I come more from advisory virtual CISO standpoint. So I always see the bigger picture as far as what are the causes and impacts, right? Another thing also is, especially with the easy conversation with C-level executives and board of directors, because I could take a few numbers as far as the cost of their assets and calculate risk exposure factor. So now thus that proves return on security investment, right? Not a lot of people are doing this, but it makes sense because in any business, what's the most important at the top? Profits versus losses. Are we making money? Are we losing money? And really, naturally, even within our own companies, the day to day is advising and from a very strategic level, right? And even to your question, going through how do we protect ourselves against threats. Well, it's you know, naturally, a lot of these threats are the wild wild west or 0 day, but you can implement some of these procedures and policies, and combination with the technologies, like I said earlier, that will just at least put the business owners or C-level executive board of directors at ease, not worried about, hey, are they going to be the next victim of attack? It's interesting. Even cybersecurity companies have been attacked, right? So it just goes to show, well, they're selling this stuff, but they're not implementing it. Even MSPs, managed service providers, or managed system security providers, MSPs. Like I went to a conference not too long ago. So the only thing they sell is they're selling cybersecurity, or they're reselling vendor cybersecurity products, but they're not implementing within their organization. They're even selling virtual CISO, some of them, not a lot, but to them, security is just sort of like on the loose end. But that's really, you start from where we start, where you come in from our angle as from a cyber standpoint, and you present them, hey, these are your MFA is weak. You guys are not using MFA, so let's rate them as red based on a light security risk review, right? So naturally, that's an easy sell for them, but I don't think they're seeing that. And then I'm just giving you an idea as far as, like, having these layers of protections, and at least against these threats and attacks, right? Anyway, my 2 cents.
Thank you, Ranveer, sir, for emphasizing this thing about, of course, cybersecurity companies themselves. So, Dhaval, sir, how would you
Yes.
comprehend this?
Yes. So I would say that whether you are in a business of serving your customers with your solutions, services, like as Ranbir mentioned, whether you are even providing security assessment services, you have to lead by example, right? So you have to, like, make sure whether you are advising someone to run the business in a safer way, or you yourself you know are actually managing other businesses cloud accounts, or you are say MSP, and you are having more responsibility. Actually, you are not just trying to keep your business safer. By keeping your business safer, you are actually working to make sure that your client's business is safer, right? Because they are trusting you with their accounts, just like what happened in the lapsus attack on Okta. Their support team got compromised, that affected the reputation of the client. That's Okta was actually a company that had outsourced the services. But what happened that there was a like oversight of management or whatever was the issue, but the support team people had everyone's Windows credentials and everything lying there in unencrypted in a files. They had been using password manager in some areas, but still they even downloaded all those passwords and everything in a plain text. They didn't want it to go any further. So what should be an essence, even for a regular business, right? You should try to make an attempt to keep your vital data secure and encrypted. You can use different tools like a digital vault. You can use endpoint protection. That's always a first step you should do. But you should also make your employees aware. Should be like an periodic refresher training where you emphasize them that, hey, the data that you are working on, you should give out data only that you need. All the HIPAA compliance regulations, the financial compliance regulations, they are there to make sure that you are sharing only the data that you should be sharing with the third parties, or with even within a your ecosystem partner system. Only the consented data, only what is not a ultra sensitive. So data masking here comes into the play, data encryption in transit, and access management, access governance, right? So that's why Rainbow Secure has created different solutions like access control gateway, where you can have a automation help you in giving a multi-layer security for your applications, for your database that you have. The analyst, they might be working for you in creating nice reports, but what about analyst downloading entire thing locally in his laptop because he wanted to just test out something and he didn't have the time? So now you have to work with them, and you have to make sure two things. One, when they work in silos, or when they work on something, maybe work with your database team and give them a simulated data. You don't have to always give them a live data. So these are the small steps. It may take maybe extra hour or two or extra day or two to do data massaging and give them the real looking data but not real data. That will go a long way. If someone forgets his laptop somewhere, or if a person has a ransomware attack on his device, for example, right? Now that should not expose your company data and secrets to the outside world. If you take certain steps, if you cannot always encrypt everything, then this kind of data massaging will help you, at least making sure that your employee or someone lost your data but it was not real data, right? Same way, when someone is sharing the data to someone, you should always empower your workforce and make them a habit of sharing the data through secure channels that your company has mandated. Like, for example, there are ample tools both within the Microsoft ecosystem and in the Google ecosystem. You can share the data securely with only the parties that you want. Just not, you have to emphasize not to just select share with anyone. Like, you have to emphasize to take some extra minute or two and grant access only to the accounts or the IDs where people will be working on. Here again comes the situation where employees do take shortcuts. For example, if someone from other side says, I know I'm not able to access, can you just open it everyone I want to just they have to tell them, hey, I gave you the access to this given ID of yours, why not you try with that ID? Because what happens that when somebody, say if you are Outlook user and someone shares you a Google document, right? So the Google system does require that you try to log in with the same user ID that you have in Outlook. You are not really, but that's what it is expecting. So here, if you have empowered your employees to have a single sign-on across Microsoft and Google ecosystems through unified login, then one step you are removing, one headache, one pain you are removing here, and you are enabling seamless access to any document that might have been shared to them by someone outside the company or someone within the subsidiary company or within the partner network. So small things go a long way, whether it's about their cyber hygiene from the data sharing perspective, whether it's about the development that you do, right? your report BI team should also work with the security team or the compliance team, and where they are developing certain reports, right? They should make sure that people with given roles only can run those reports, and not anybody, everyone with that given link can run it. Otherwise, it's gonna again expose how much work you will be doing to secure your logins and databases, and all those encryption will go waste if your report developer is deploying the report with access to everyone from internet. Then that is also like nicely presented format. It's not like even you have to go into the database and dig it. So this is again a security vulnerability that you have to manage properly, because if you know there happens to be a report when actually someone develops BI report, when they are in development mode, they everyone always have a tendency of having full permission so that they can do all the testing and everything. QA and BI developer works back and forth and they make it work. But when you deploy in production, it's a responsibility of the BI team and the responsibility of the compliance team to make sure that data, unnecessary data, doesn't get exposed to the people who are we are not intending. And even when we are exposing the data, we have to make sure that only the data that the given role is supposed to see can see. For example, if your data covers like say social security numbers, if it covers say date of birth, or if it covers say any other personal identifying information, expose only the element of data that they need to work with, right? So you have must have many times encountered when you call some company customer support, sometimes they ask you for the last 4 digit of social security number. So that's the only the last 4 digit they are supposed to see and validate, and you have to mask the other elements of the data from the view. So same thing, you have to make sure when you have export feature enabled, you know so whether it's a small business, whether you are a development organization, or whether you are a large enterprise with in-house team, it always takes a proactive approach to secure what you own, what you manage. So this is what I would say, that systematic work hygiene and be consciously aware of cyber threats is always helpful.
Thank you, Dhaval sir, for explaining best practices in such a detail. I'm sure all the businesses, be it small, large scale, or medium business, are surely going to benefit from such comprehensive insights. So, if like after taking all the preventive measures, if still there is a breach, so what all steps you plan or you suggest to take in case of a data leak?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and naturally, you can have the best protection in the world, and you can have the best policies in the world, right? Doesn't mean that that you still won't be a target of attack or a breach. But I would say that you know, so I see it this way, right? So I'm looking from a different perspective. A breach is not necessarily a bad thing. Think of it as a lessons learned, right? So even though we had the best of the best and the big names on the quadrant, names on the quadrant, fine. You would think that because you have a big name on the quadrant, they won't touch you. That's not the case, right? It sort of goes back to say, okay, well, you have to look at it from a different angle, right? To where a lot of these organizations, they feel that if they get breached or if they get the media, it's sort of they feel embarrassed or they feel shame. But why, right? I mean, but it's like a lessons learned. Like, okay, fine, this happened. How did this happen? Because an employee clicked on a phishing link, and I said this. This is probably the 10th time I said this, but during our call here. But I stress that because that's the easiest way to get attacked. That's how you introduce malware, ransomware, and you just didn't. None of the technologies caught that, right? Because a technology can only catch so much, right? I mean, these attackers are always coming up with new tactics in the way of attacks, right? Or even they'll do like, let's say, they'll try to get to know you sometimes, or create a fake business. Say I'm a CEO of company XYZ. I come and I provide these services, and at the end of the day, it's actually a hacker masking as a hacker. And then they learn you, and then you trust them, and then all of a sudden you just gave them the keys to the kingdom, right? So my 2 cents.
Thank you, Ranveer. So, thank you. That was what will be your take on this?
Yes, I would say that as soon as an organization knows that something is wrong or like not expected, they should be contacting their even is in-house or outsourced security team, security support they have, and they have to work with them to make sure a couple of things, because when something like that happens, you are bounded by some legal rules. You are bounded by your the trust that the customer has put on you, but also at the same time you have to make sure that your actions don't further make the things worse what you are in. So you have to walk a fine line and work with your team to make sure that at least the ongoing disruption that's going on, it can be stamped, it can be at the most blocked. Many companies worry about, hey, if I take down my website or something, then my customer will not be able to, say for example, place orders or not do something. But here you have to make sure that what about your existing customer, what about your existing services you are providing to someone, people are trusting you. So you have to take sometimes hard decisions, and immediately cut off the system, whether you are a college or whether you are a hospital. Everybody has to take this hard step of at least go to the alternate methods of working. And this all doesn't happen in one day. It all requires proactive planning. So when you are in a breach, so the main thing is that you have to also work with the external parties, like say your local state or local counties or districts cyber incident report. You have to do that. You have to also let your cyber insurance provider know. So these are the three people has to be contacted simultaneously. One, your security team. Second, your cyber insurance provider, and third, the government entity, the designated entity for your region. You have to work with them. Hey, we have been facing, because cyber attack is nothing new. It happens to so many businesses. It has been happening. Just the work that you do in coordination is important, and at appropriate time, as soon as possible. You have to also let, if you find that XYZ customers data has been leaked, then there is a different guidelines as per different designated government entities. You have to inform them in a manner that you know they stay safe. Sometimes what happens is that you are not attacked, but your customer think that you are attacked. Then that also may be a starting point of cyber attack. This is a, I just remember very good example of the MailChimp attack and what happened with the crypto wallet people, right? So crypto wallet people in the first place were not attacked at all from the system perspective. What happened is that they hackers actually gain access to the MailChimp account of the company, not the real system, MailChimp account, right? But because customers always used to get email from that email address, so hackers sent out a communication saying that, hey, you guys are under attack and please download the new version of the app. So everyone who was more proactive in reading and following that instruction, they downloaded the infected application. And when they started logging into the app with the infected app, that's how hackers started getting their credentials. Because in today's world, the credentials are legacy, two-dimensional credential, right? So hackers can easily harvest those credentials, and they did. And that's how lot many people lost their vital crypto assets, and this hack affected in a very big way to that crypto platform. So this is just an example that you should have proper mechanism to even allow your users or customer to report if they find something miss, right? If the users of this platform had already been properly educated that something is wrong and can you please counter check, if you don't have counter check mechanism, then somebody may fool you that you are under attack even if you are not. This is something that hackers always have a habit of making things urgent, like, hey, your Amazon account has been terminated, hey, your PayPal account, something happened, this and this, always a tactic they do in one or other way. But there should always be an option for your users to counter check. And That's why people also run simulated phishing campaigns, just because of that reason. That, hey, if some employees is clicking on certain link, or hey, somebody is doing something out of the way, then they can get properly trained. So I would say that these are all the measures that should be in place, so that when a data breach or something really happens, your business has a proper rule book to follow in case of such a breach. And that's how I think they can come back online quicker. They can still be in compliance. Their insurance provider will help them in many different ways, not just with the claim process, but also making sure that you are back in compliance. So this is what I think a business would do.
Thank you, Samuel. So thank you for answering my question. So now I would like to take up our second topic for today's panel talk. That is how to prevent automated account takeover. So Ranveer, sir, how to prevent my business from automated account takeover?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Rainbow Secure, that's the way. No? But on a real note, that's a great
Thank you.
question. Adding multiple layers of authentication, multi-factor authentication, you hear that word a lot, right? So when you log in, you use your phone that has a code, or you're using Google Authentic. I mean, there's so many different apps out there, but the beauty of it, if a hacker were to hack your phone and have access to your tokens, or your apps, or your app to authenticate to get into your accounts, that's a bigger problem, right? So I'm not saying that that's still secure, but look at it this way, right? Passwords can be easily cracked because a lot of people use just they don't like the complicated passwords, and it frustrates them. Or using a password manager, a password vault, right? That helps. But at the end of the day, if you have a solution that's very unique, to where when you log in and it uses unique coding on the back end, that really changes the game, right? And not to just, yeah, I'd love to bring up the way Rainbow Secure, they're changing the way as far as logging into systems, where you can remember just one password, but it's a lot more to it. For example, right? Especially like color, associating a color code to it, right? Something very unique, and that's what intrigued me about the methodologies that they're using, for some of their clients, right? I mean, you just remember one password for 30 of your different applications. That's amazing, right? So, and it would take millions of years for someone to crack that, because if you wanted to put if I wanted my password run beer, but like it has different colors associated to each of my letter or character, it's very intriguing. I mean, it's really going towards that blockchain methodology per se, as hashing passwords, not to get too technical, but anyways, the circling back to saying, okay, you want an additional layer of security, you want that protection, you're just tired of even there's still applications that just use username and password. There was one vendor that I worked with in the past for past organization. Like, I literally all used my username and password. There was no second way of authenticating. So if someone had access to my organization or the corporate email that I had, plus my password, we usually use complex passwords, being in cyber world, of course. But my point is that then they would be able to go into our tenant, and I have admin access. So I mean, that's a CASB based solution. That I mean, that's like, I could do whatever. I could shut their tenant. I could shut off everybody's access out to the web if I wanted to. I mean, it's scary. Think about it, right? But adding that additional layer really helps. And definitely the way, again, not to reiterate, but Rainbow Secure is really changing the way of how we look at passwords today.
Thank you, Ranveer, sir, for highlighting and appreciating the solution, login solution by Rainbow Secure. Double, sir, how to protect my business from automated account takeover?
Yeah, I think that will be mentioned, be at Rainbow Secure, put enough emphasis on protecting your business, whether it's your employees' accounts, whether it's your data, right? It has to be secure in a way that your users can use, they can learn, and they can follow. If you tell them, hey, my company's account should be ultra secure. It has to be 24 characters, and you always have to use strong credentials that you have to change every 2 months, and you have to not use dictionary words. All those things, if you tell them, the guy would say, I'm doing this only because I need a job. Otherwise, I'm never going to do this and get frustrated. And that slightest of the frustration may also impact the productivity. They may sometimes, okay, you know what? I'm gonna call support desk. I'm just gonna have them reset my credentials and then I'm gonna start my work. So you are not only here in a problem kind of situation where your employee are frustrated daily, right? They are not gonna get hacked daily, but yeah, when you get hacked, there's another trouble. But your employee's frustration is also taking it to another level. Now, if you are not having a secure single sign-on, then it's a headache for your IT staff when you hire someone, or when you say someone in services, right? Your access management is also very difficult. First of all, you are under compliance regulation to deploy strong login policies for 10 different applications your employees are using, your business is using, and also at the same time maintain those policies and have your users work through all those credentials that are super hard to use. So that's why I think the way to go is to adopt a multi-layer security, so that even if somebody is launching a automated credential stuffing attack, like when they steal your credentials that they harvested, whether your employee saved their credentials in a Google browser or in some password manager, or he just is reusing the credentials from another website, he's doing some e-commerce purchase, right? Because 70 to 80% of the users do reuse their credentials. They just change little bit, even if they change it, but hackers would know the kind of format the guy is using, and that's it gonna crack his account in a very quick manner. So as Randy pointed out, is that a multi-layer security with additional built-in checks is very essential. And Rainbow Secure, what it does is that it has grown from just providing the color and style-based authentication to add more layers of protection, like you got location protection, geofencing. You got also the risk analytics on the back end. Say your employee is working on a certain project at a certain time, and suddenly he start using certain access he has never been used recently. So those kind of sensible or logic will capture all those anomalies and protect the systems. Now, another way to add here the protection for your employees account from being taken over is to actually have integrations with your HR systems, integration with your project systems. So when somebody is switching from one project to another, all his access get automatically adjusted. You don't even have to do something. Same way, when somebody is getting terminated, if you get that hooked up with your HR system, then in there's one click, you are disabling all his access. Because in a remote work scenario, in hybrid work scenario, this is very essential. You can't be in a situation where, say, you terminate someone's access, but you take 3 days to revoke the access, right? You employees or contractors can't have that extra even a minute for them to even download something or misuse that data. Because sometimes someone would be, say, on a 3-month contract and working on your data and everything is fine, but now what happened if the guy's credentials were actually getting compromised, and because he left, so everybody just forgot to disable his account, then somebody may misuse those credentials if they get later harvested. Sometimes it's not your terminated employees misusing, but sometimes hackers can take advantage of that, like that happened in that colony pipeline attack. So I think it's very essential to think about this scenario from multiple angles, from the solution implementation, integration angles, and using something like Rainbow Secure to protect it.
Thank you, Dhaval sir. Thank you, Ranveer, for emphasizing on multi-layer security, and thank you, Dhaval sir, for working on such products. So, Rainbow Secure definitely comes up with a beautiful multi-layer login solution and also SSO solution, and IAM. Uh, I would take this opportunity to ask like one question, which is mentioned in the Q&A section, and then I would like to take your insights on key takeaways from the panel talk for today. So, may I ask Ranveer sir, how to get job after CH, this certified ethical hacker course, And is it good to get job into management side in cybersecurity? So thank you
Yeah,
for
no, that
answering the question, but could you elaborate?
yeah, no, management is not for everyone, let's be honest. So really it's more on for the person that has interest to get into the field, if that's something that they want to do, especially now you're dealing with people, right? Regardless of whether it's in the cyber world or not. But the beauty of being in cyber is that, there's different ways about, leading and guiding and mentor people. Because naturally, a great leader is always going to want his success. Sorry, always going to want his employees and lead them to their own success, whether they surpass that leader or not. It doesn't matter, right? And that's somebody that you definitely would want working under, because they'll put you under their wing and guide you. Now, in terms of having certification, CEH, CISSP, Security Plus, that's great to have, but it's not going to get you into management. Leadership, even Double can speak. It's sort of it's like it's a running race in your mind, because now when you're managing people, it's one thing, right? As opposed to doing individual contributor work is another thing, because you're just doing past projects work within the cyber realm, right? So really ask yourself this question: do I want to lead, guide, mentor people, or do I want the title because it comes with more money, more responsibility, and longer hours, or sometimes no raise, more responsibility and longer hours, right? So really, that's a question you have to ask yourself: is this something that you truly want to do, and within the cyber realm, or would you rather just you enjoy doing the work, the architecting, design, incident response, security engineering, deployments, projects, that type of scenario. So really, that it just goes down to how you feel about it and what you want to do as far as your career path. But never get discouraged on where you want to go within the cyber realm. And also, because it is a very highly compensated and well-paying field, that's another thing. Don't chase a dream because of the money, right? Chase the dream because you're truly passionate about it.
Thank you, because not many students are confused today about like how cybersecurity is going to turn up as a career for them. Thank you for answering the question so well. Like you really mentioned it very right. Don't chase after money, chase after the passion. Truly said so.
Appreciate it.
And
Yeah.
Dhaval sir, would you? Thank you, Ranveer sir. Dhaval sir, would you like to add something to it, sir?
Yeah, first of all, I would agree completely with Ranveer that if you have pre-existing management experience in a one or other way of managing the resources, human assets, then that's quite essential to go from one role to another that it requires the man. So you have to maybe have played a team leader role or some kind of junior lead role in at least helping out your team in managing certain aspect of a project, and that will help you to actually when you are taking step forward. Here you asked a question that you got a certificate course in cybersecurity. Yes, that will help you gaining some fundamentals knowledge of the cybersecurity area. But now you have to see the people that you intend to manage, right? You should be able to know what work they are doing, what work is expected from them. You need to know the intricacies of their work life, the support their resources themselves would need. So all those things come into the play when you have some sort of management experience and when you yourself work in that environment for some time. So if just ask any MBA person, somebody does MBA, that's called management training program. They go through certain process to get acclimated to the environment where they would be working, they would be performing, and they would be leading eventually. So this is what I would like to say.
Thank you, Dhaval sir. So, Ranveer sir, thank you for the panel talk. I would request you to kindly suggest some key takeaways for the SMBs from today's panel discussion.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So overall, cybersecurity, it is very important. Always, know your environment and things that you need to protect based on risk level. So really for those SMBs, so once they have, let's say, somebody that comes in and just gives them some advice, or even from an advisory level that really understands where they stand, and sort of maybe even add a score to their, like, let's say, they're at 50%, and you want to try to get them to 60, 70, 80%. Implement a strong authentication methodology. Again, gonna say Rainbow Secure is very, very strong in what they're offering in their products and solutions from that standpoint. Really, really adds a layer of protection, especially for your employees accessing their laptops, accessing cloud-based applications, and integrating it with Rainbow Secure's technology solution. So the key takeaways are is always implement, not just from your technology stack, also, implement strong policies, educate your employees, and that's pretty much it, right? It goes down to risk management. That's what cybersecurity is, and I hope everybody agrees here that it's as complicated as people as organizations or small business thinks it is. It's really not. It's actually very easy if you think about it. Just simple things that you can just do, whether it costs you money or not, or if it's expensive, it doesn't matter. It's all relative. But what if you get a breach and it costs you 1,000 times that than what you could have done to protect the organization? Just saying.
Thank you, Ranveer Singh, for emphasizing this point because small businesses may think that investing in cybersecurity may incur some cost, but ultimately, if a breach happens, so that can turn out to be like a lot of cost for the company, lot of like investment on the company side. Noel, so
Absolutely.
would you like to suggest some key takeaways for small and medium scale businesses from today's panel discussion?
Yes, I would say that couple of things small and medium businesses and startups to keep in mind. Always consider the cyber threat just like in any other threat that might affect your business, whether it's a natural calamities, power outage, or internet connectivity problems, right? So once you keep it at par at the same level, then you can now have that mindset to think about next what you would be doing to keep your data secure, what you would be doing to keep your system secure from the threats that may affect your business, because small business has very little bandwidth to even fight back or survive such attacks. Once what happened is that one of the business lost access to the data. The hackers actually wiped off everything, all the customer data. They wiped off our entire order book and everything that customer was relying on. This was a small manufacturer that was working to fulfill certain orders, and it was when they got hacked, hackers had demanded ransomware, and they tried to pay for the ransom, and but it did not work out somehow, so they lost the data and everything. Same thing happened with one of the grown startup. They had their entire code repository on AWS got hacked, and they immediately went out of business because they had this vital release coming up, and that dev team was all like I would say occupied in their own work they were supposed to do, and their credentials were the same credentials were applicable in production as well. So now and what hackers did, they deleted the main system. These guys were having all the backups, although we can have another session just to talk about backup and DR, but they had all the backup also stored in the same tenant, so hackers also deleted all the backups. So this is like if you don't
That is
take this
nuts.
seriously, you have to.
It's as if the business never existed.
Yes, yes, yes. So only the human assets were there, but all the digital assets got wiped out, and they had to immediately close the business because they
Yeah.
cannot just now work for their clients. So essence of is that whether you are small or big, now cyber threat is real, because big companies are nowadays making things harder for the hackers. The hackers are trying to go after the other players, maybe easier to penetrate. They want to go into the supply chain. So that's another whole story, but you are part of the ecosystem, you are part of this world. If you get affected, others are going to get affected. And if you don't manage your cyber incidents in a proper way, then that will make you like and you are not a reliable business to work with. That's all.
Thank you, Dhaval. So thank you, Ranveer sir, for emphasizing on all key essential points for a small and medium business to consider when considering cybersecurity for their firms. Thank you for emphasizing good practices and highlighting all the recent attacks. That is going to give them insights how to secure themselves. And also, thank you for telling them that they are important in this ecosystem, that not only bigger firms, they secure themselves, but they are going to have a ripple effect or the cascading effect on like multiple organizations if they are not going to secure themselves. So thank you for emphasizing all these points. With your kind permission, I would like to conclude today's panel talk. And thank you, both of you, for giving your precious time. And thank you for your invaluable insights and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. Thank you to all the audiences for joining us today for such a wonderful session today. And let us meet in the networking lounge. Thank you.
Thank you, Sasi. Thank you
Thank you.
for
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Dhaval. Thank you very
taking
much.
it.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.